You didn't see that coming?
Yeah, you could say that again, Quicksilver. Hello, geeks, freaks, and all those unique. This is MC Frodis, and we're talking about episode 5 of WandaVision on a very special episode. And, holy crap. There's just so much to talk about with this episode. I think a lot of people have already covered it, but I mean, we have to get into it because, oh my god. We left off last week with an entire episode about what was happening on the outside with Monica Rambeau and Darcy Lewis and Jimmy Woo. And this week we get back into Wanda and Vision having twins, Tommy and Billy. And, wow. I did not know what to expect with this episode. And I've got to be honest, I didn't know what to expect with WandaVision in general. When it came to this show, they were playing it so close to the chest that I wasn't really jazzed about it. Because I'm like, oh, it's going to be like this weird little sitcom thing with Wanda and Vision in it, but I don't know where it's going to go from there. I was not expecting any of this. And truth be told, I was looking more forward to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I'm still looking forward to. But I don't think that that's going to have the same impact that WandaVision is going to be having on Phase 4, on just the Marvel Cinematic Universe in general. This was really a Trojan horse in terms of storytelling because I don't think anybody was expecting this much of an impact. But so this episode was their riff on the 80s, primarily family ties. I mean, the opening credits. Well, the opening credits very much emulates Family Ties, Growing Pains, and Full House. There's bits from all of them. But the set is very, very much Family Ties. Family Ties was actually my favorite sitcom growing up. I huge crush on Michael J. Fox. Like, so that it's been 25, 30 years since I watched an episode of Family Ties, and still, like, that set is, like, burned into my brain. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, this is so Family Ties. Um, and, you know, we have the precocious kids. Um, Though I noticed, like, they didn't go for any of the catchphrases, like, that were very big in the 80s and the 90s with little kids. So we'll have to see if that happens in the next episode. Though I have thoughts about what's going to happen in the next one. Um, but, yeah, it was so interesting getting the kids into this because it's clear that they are not affected by Wanda's powers. Billy and Tommy are Billy and Tommy. They do what they want. I think they know what Wanda can do. Um, now, I mean, I guess I'm getting into it now. I mean, there's so much stuff to talk about, but I think Billy and Tommy are, in fact, Billy and Tommy. Jimmy was asking, it's like, well, who are these children? You know, where did they come from? And Monica said, oh, those are Wanda's kids. And I did think that Monica was a little too polite to say, it's like, yeah, I helped deliver one of them from Wanda's vagina. Believe me, they are hers. But yeah, I do think that Billy and Tommy are Wanda's children. Um, we'll see what they take from Billy and Tommy's origins in the comics, because I'm still not quite sure how much they're going to take from that. And certainly, I believe that they're setting up for Young Avengers. I mean, just with all of the characters that they've already introduced, with Scott's daughter Cassie, and we know that Kate Bishop is going to be coming in, and now we've got Billy and Tommy. I don't know if they're going to go the whole get rid of Billy and Tommy only to bring Billy and Tommy back. I think they might streamline that a bit. Which could mean that Billy and Tommy are kids from Westview that are just basically changed by Wanda's magic, kind of like Monica's clothing. That these are kids who always were called Billy and Tommy and are twins and everything, but they kind of get their powers because Wanda made them her kids, which is weird, but there is a thing there. But I think that they're actually going to be Wanda's kids. I did find them aging themselves up to be funny. I mean, first of all, that's very much a reference to, TV shows where you have kids all of a sudden grow up. But also, it's almost a reference to the kids being like Wanda. Because whenever Wanda, can't find happiness in her sitcom, she changes the era of the sitcom to try and find some sort of happiness there, I guess. But it is a hollow existence, and that's why she keeps on moving on, because she needs to find, some, stability that doesn't exist yet. And we see that Vision is starting to figure things out. And Paul Bettany does such a good job with this. I think he gets more range in this than he had in any of the Avengers movies. And he does a fantastic job with it. I can really see that he's scared. He says that to Wanda, that he's afraid because he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't remember who he is. And that moment when he's able to take down the walls in Norm, and Norm just yelling about, he needs to be saved from her. I don't know if he's talking about Wanda there. I'm wondering if maybe, because he very specifically did not say Wanda, he said her. Could be Agnes, because we still don't know what's going on with Agnes. And certainly she knows more than she's letting on. And she does have that bit where, it's like, should I take it from the top? And she seems like she might be afraid of Wanda, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It's very, this show is, every week that goes by, I'm enjoying it more, because they've really kind of got the pacing on this just perfect. I mean, I was a bit worried about it at the beginning, but they've kind of let things out at just the right pace. And oh my goodness, like, this would not have had the same effect if they were doing like a binging thing. But we got a week to wait for that, for that ending. And it's not even just like the very end, which of course is just, we'll get into that. But seeing Wanda and Vision, two characters that more than any other in the Marvel universe are in love. I mean, I think the love between Scarlet Witch and Vision is different because they are two Avengers who fell in love, as opposed to, like, say, your Tony Stark, Pepper Potts, where Pepper is the love interest. Like, I know eventually they do turn her into Rescue, but let's face it, that was a little forced. But these were two characters that were developed individually, and then they had get together. And I think had a very good romance, very subtle, but certainly in Captain, like, obviously they were just introduced in Age of Ultron, so I can't really judge on that one. But in Captain America Civil War, you definitely kind of pick up on the connection between these two. And you can understand where it goes in Infinity War, that they are in this relationship that has gone on for a long time. And they're able to build it up enough in these two movies that you believe that, yes, they are deeply in love with each other, and just how devastating it is to Wanda to lose him. Or we found out in the last episode and this episode just how long has passed since the blip. It's only been a few weeks, and Wanda has gone in to take Vision's body. So you just think about all of the stuff Wanda has gone through in the past few weeks from her perspective, because I know it's been 5 years that since Vision was killed. But for Wanda, it just happened because she was one of the people who was blipped. And also, in seeing the blip from Monica's perspective, it was not a pleasant experience. Like, it was, it was very disorienting. And it was probably even more disorienting for someone like Wanda, who was in this, state of grief. So Wanda loses Vision. She dies and then comes back. And when she comes back, everyone she's been traveling with, except for one person, disappears. Because Steve has now aged to the point of, he's showing his age finally. And Black Widow is dead. And basically the only person she has left is Sam. And I mentioned this on social media the other day, that I hope that there's a mention of Sam and Bucky in WandaVision, or of Wanda in in Falcon and Winter Soldier, because they don't really talk about it all that much. But Wanda and Sam know each other incredibly well. They were on the Secret Avengers together, so they traveled together for 2 years. They were on the New Avengers together. And the New Avengers, it does seem, lived together in a compound, which the original Avengers didn't. So I think, possibly with the exception of Clint and Natasha, Sam and Wanda know each other better than any of the other Avengers know each other. So I would like to see some concern on both sides. But that's a very, realistic thing when we are in this sitcom. And we see just how damaging this is, because Monica talks about how it's basically being like, suffocated in Wanda's grief. And when she goes to find Vision's body, and she finds that he's being experimented on, which, I mean, Sword, you want to, get off your high horse, because, you can say that, it's, one, the talking about it's against the Sokovia Accords to reanimate somebody. Wanda never signed the Sokovia Accords. That was the whole thing with Civil War. That's why Wanda's like an outlaw, because she didn't sign the Sokovia Accords. And you guys were trying to do something with Vision. And I'm not saying you were trying to bring him back, but you were probably trying to make more of him because you're stupid, and there's something wrong with the director. That he's untrustworthy. And I'm wondering if maybe Wanda was active before Age of Ultron. The director, Hayward, kind of asked, it's like, does she have any, like, aliases? And was that, like, the first time she did anything? And just kind of the way he asked that of Jimmy made me feel like, actually, yeah, that Wanda does have another name. And that she did have some activity prior to becoming, before working for Hydra, that Hayward knows about. Now, this is just me spitballing, But I'm wondering if it's possible that Wanda always had her powers. And that instead of the Mind Stone giving them to her, the Mind Stone just enhanced them. Wanda's powers are certainly above and beyond what we've seen from a lot of, from even Vision, who Vision's powers come from the exact same place that Wanda's do. Yet Wanda is able to exceed those powers. So it would not surprise me if it's Wanda plus the Mind Stone. So, I mean, like, we know mutants are going to come in. Maybe mutants come in because they're already there. They've always been there. Which we're going to have to get into eventually. And I can't believe I'm barely into this episode. And I've been rambling for so long. This is my era, like, for, I was born in 1983, so all of these, like, sitcoms that came out in the 80s, this is the stuff that I grew up with. So what they're doing with it, it's so disconcerting, because, I mean, for the first couple of episodes, they played them pretty straight. But at this point now, the comfort Wanda was getting from the sitcom is starting to fall away, because you have Sword trying to invade and you have Vision starting to figure things out. So it's just kind of like not giving Wanda what she needs, and it's very disturbing. One of, like, I think, like, the most badass moments from any character in any of the MCU is when Wanda comes out of Westview for the first time, and she's carrying the drone, the missile that was firing at her, and she throws it at the Sword agents, and she's just fucking badass. Liked that Wanda had her accent back, just out in full force. That, very much establishing that the Wanda that's in the sitcom is not the real Wanda. And the accent that she had is very much has always been a part of her. She did kind of hide it in Infinity War and Civil War, but that was kind of an intentional thing on her part. And now she has no reason to hide it. And just how much she does not care about herself, really. Or the fact that she could hurt all of these people. She's just, all she wants is Vision and her kids. And then we get into the argument that comes at the end of things, where Vision he's figured things out, basically, at this point. And he doesn't say it to that extent. He's figured out enough that he knows something's wrong, and he's really frightened. And as the credits are rolling and they're fighting, that is really, really unsettling. It reminded me very much of the Too Many Cooks parody that was done by, I want to say it was Adult Swim that did it. Very much the dark takeoff on a sitcom. And with this, certainly parents on sitcoms fought, but I don't think they ever fought to this extent. This is uncomfortable, very real fighting. That eventually gets physical because, they're superheroes. But seeing them yelling over the credits, and then the credits just kind of like blipping out, just very chilling. And like I said, the fact that Vision and Scarlet Witch have always been kind of like this unit together. Even during Civil War, when they're on opposite sides, they're still, kind of semi like together. So this seeing them actually against each other was not fun. And then we get to the end, the absolute end, where somebody's ringing the door, and Wanda goes to get it, and it's Pietro. But it's Evan Peters. And obviously, I've talked about on the channel before that there had been rumors that Evan Peters was going to be coming in, and I didn't know how they were going to be doing it. I'm not surprised that he did it at the end of this one. And I'm not surprised they had it as a cliffhanger. It's like when I knew that they were going to be bringing Evan Peters in. And I kind of had it like in the back of my head going, it's like he's going to be the last shot of an episode. And I thought, well, this week was the 80s, so next week is the 90s, which I thought was really funny that the first episode that's going to have Evan Peters' version of Quicksilver in it is going to be a 90s episode, because that's the last time we saw Evan Peters' Quicksilver was in the 90s. So that's, some sort of, weird crossover, which maybe that's intentional, maybe it's not, but I liked it. And we have Darcy calling out the recasting, and there's so many questions, like, is this actually Pietro? So I'm going to get into this because we've got to talk about it. Is this Pietro? No, this is not Pietro. This is obviously not Wanda's brother. I know I did talk about this. I believe I talked about it on episode 3. I'll figure out which one it was and I'll link to it up here. But this is not Wanda's brother. I think that he really is Quicksilver from the X-Men cinematic universe. And I think he is the first crossover in the multiverse. And as for why he's acting as Wanda's brother, this entire episode was about death and not being able to bring things back from the dead. One quick thing before I get too into this. Billy and Tommy were adamant that Wanda could bring people back from the dead. And it does kind of come off like a mom, you can fix anything thing. But I think that's actually a sign that Billy and Tommy know what Wanda's powers are. We haven't totally seen that, but I think that Billy and Tommy are aware of what's going on. But we had lots of references to Pietro. We had it in what, from Wanda's point of view, was just a couple of days ago when Geraldine and her talked about Pietro, and Monica said he was killed by Ultron. So Pietro's been on the mind. And then in this episode, we got some more references with the twins asking if Mom had a brother, and she said that she did. And that scene happened right before Wanda left, and then went, she did that thing like to strengthen the barrier or something, and then went back in. And I'm wondering if maybe in the strengthening of the barrier, while she had Pietro on the mind, she might have made some sort of connection to Peter Maximoff. Because I don't think Wanda can bring people back from the dead. Pietro is gone. He died in Sokovia. He's been gone for a long time at this point. But Wanda's powers are enough that I think that she can reach into the multiverse and find a version of her brother that is still alive. And it just so happens to be Evan Peters' version. Now we'll have to find out more next week. I'm very interested. Um, it changes everything. What do I think they're going to get into with the X-Men? I don't know, something. It can't just be Evan Peters. I know there are some people who think that Evan Peters is Mephisto or Nightmare or any other number of people. No, I really think that he's Pietro. Because I think that having Evan Peters be Pietro doesn't do anything to Wanda. It does something to the audience, and I don't think that what it does to the audience is good. I think it's too much of a jerk around. And not in a good way. It's not clever. It's just kind of mean. And it doesn't make any sense that, this would hurt Wanda. Having it be Aaron Taylor Johnson, now that would hurt Wanda. Having Mephisto look like her actual brother, that would hurt. This other guy who's a stranger, I don't think that would hurt the same way. So I do think that it's him. I think that Wanda has pulled him in and basically done the same thing to him that has happened to the rest of the town. But we'll see what happens. And I think that either we're going to find out that mutants have been around forever. Like I said, maybe we'll find out that Wanda's history wasn't everything that we thought it was. Or we will get the House of M moment of, instead of being no more mutants, Wanda will bring the mutants in. Because I don't know, maybe she'll bond with Peter, and so she'll, bring Peter's people in. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities, and that's one of the things that's so exciting about this. But yeah, there's so much going on, and I think that it's going to have massive, massive influences over the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward. And I really cannot believe that this is where we're at. I had no idea that this was coming, and it's just amazing. So comment down below with what you thought of On a Very Special Episode. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel. I do lots of videos on Marvel, Star Wars, Star Trek, Supernatural, and lots of other pop culture things. If you'd like to support the channel, you can go to my Patreon, or you can buy me a coffee. If you want something to wear, you can go to my Redbubble or TeePublic and buy some of my geeky graphic designs. Today, I am wearing my Fanfic Tropes shirt. So until next time, live long, and may the Force be with you.